Coming from the records at the nation's most renowned video archival institute is an instructional film on high school etiquette. The first portion is one video of two and deals with the unspoken rules of hallway recognition. The first indicator of recognition while walking down the hallways is eye contact. Try and make eye contact as much as possible with your acquaintances. The act of connection must go both ways. If someone that makes you feel uncomfortable tries to catch your eye, don't feel ashamed to walk stoically ahead with your head straight forward or directly down. If they're weird, they deserve to be shunned. If a good friend of yours approaches, or perhaps just someone you've always had a good time with, eye contact should be enacted upon involuntarily. If avoided, good friends might think you are ignoring them and might feel offended. The most important element of eye contact when considering maximum comfortability is distance between yourself and the target. Staring someone down in the hallway is simply too weird, and looking at them at the last second is disturbing as well. Keep the distance at about 10 to 15 feet for maximum pleasantness. The second recognition tip of this portion involves two subsections of bodily movement. These include proper head movement and handshakes. A head nod is usually used with formal acquaintances, but can also be used sarcastically with closer friends. The head flick is slightly more common and is used amongst closer friends in more casual environments. Any combination or exaggeration of the said and unsaid head movements should generally be avoided, for they could cause potential uncomfortability and awkwardness. The second section of the bodily movement portion is the physical aspect of acknowledgement often found between close friends in the form of simple handshakes. The first is a formal grasp with palms in parallel and fingers curled slightly. Although there are many handshakes in the world, this form is the only one known as the handshake. This again can be ignored through complete deterrence or the clever use of a distracting text message. Be sure you are ready to engage in a handshake, for if proper prior acknowledgement has not been made, the situation could get messy. Remember to make eye contact for that perfect smooth handshake to occur. Also, try and avoid any extensions upon the original handshake, for passerby might become obstructed by your elaborate interaction. Another avoidance to take into account would be that of a passive or anxious attempt at handshaking. Just be confident. You might miss out on something fun, so be sure to be assertive and catch their eye. Now, if you wish to engage in slightly cooler methods of handshaking, you can look to their very roots. Yes, they were founded with the palms and fingertips of your very own black friends. Enough of that formal business. That's just not cool. Shake it up a bit. Be adventurous. Let's try the first one, the fist. This method of handshaking can also be called pounding, and when extended slightly is known as dap. This method is very simple to do and requires no finger activity. The specific timing of this handshake is just as important as all other methods of recognition, so try and avoid starting the process from too far away. Contrarily, raising the fist too late might result in an unnoticed attempt at contact. Appropriate facial expressions should be taken into account as well, where determined or over-enthused approaches might appear forced and intimidating. Again, always be aware of your surroundings and potential handshakings in waiting. Missing a cool handshake with one of your black friends might just be the downside of your day. Side tip, rotation of the wrist creates new and exciting opportunities to pound fists. The angle of elevation is also important to keep in mind, so avoidance of such poses as Hitler or Bruce Lee should be taken into account. Lastly, there's the curl, an interlockance of two parties and their digits coming to a curl with each other. This is another easy handshake to interact with your black friends. The recognizable tilt angle of the wrist should be kept at approximately 60 degrees to the normal, i.e. the floor is perpendicular, so as not to confuse the curl with a normal handshake. In order to keep things from getting awkward, be assertive, so as to avoid dead fish grasps, and keep it simple to avoid any embarrassment. Far too many times has the MCOTB been broken. Far too long has it been ignored. Through countless experiences we have all had, we have found a general lack of respect and a universal incompetence for the most sacred of all man laws. The man code of the bathroom. Going to the bathroom is a very special time for all men, and if you find that you don't care about other men's privacy, it's time you learned the code. Rule number 1. Thou shalt take the farthest urinal from fellow man. This rule is somewhat exempt when there are barriers, but taking the closest one when others are open is just plain weird. An acceptable distance would be that of 2 to 3 urinals away from the fellow man. Although perhaps inconvenient to you, you must remember the man code at all costs. Side note. If given the opportunity and correct timing, take a recently evacuated urinal for the sake of upholding law number 1. Rule number 2. No eye contact will ever be made. A pee is a pee. It's one of the only things the government hasn't taken away from us or taxed us on yet, so don't take away anyone's right to privacy. Rule number 3. There will be no talking in the bathroom. This rule will be accepted when facing the opposite direction, example, washing or drying hands, etc., or when in stalls, and then and only then asking for toilet paper or reading material is appropriate. Rule number 4. You will look straight ahead or directly down. No peeking. This is of utmost importance. If one breaks this code, you are given permission to break the no talking law to simply ask the violator what on earth they're doing. Rule number 5. If all urinals are empty when one enters, one must go to the urinal that would leave someone else the most space, i.e. the urinal next to the wall or farthest away. And finally, the last law, a branch of the no talking law. Any conversation or exchange that was being made on the way into the bathroom can wait to finish until the emptying process has been completed. It doesn't matter what was being said or exchanged, all talking must cease.
So, guys, shut up!
It's so inappropriate.
This concludes our high school etiquette film. I can only hope you will use this advice to further advance your proper sociability skills and respectfulness while at your local high school.